What's going on, everybody? KSA Kris here, the Real Estate Blitz. Want to do a quick video, and today I want to talk about who's your client. And you know, I did something at one of our meetings recently with our agents, and it was a big one. At first, they all kind of giggled, like, "What do you mean, who's our clients?" You know, and I started just asking some simple questions, and then I kind of ramped it up from there, and then I started drawing it out on the board. And I think the deeper I went, everybody realized, holy crap, okay, well, we're doing this wrong. So it's important. So what I'm getting at is, like, have you sat down and created an avatar for your client? And when I say your client, I'm talking about sometimes, at least for us, you have to look at areas. So example, we work in Fallbrook, we work in Bonsall, we work in Oceanside, we work in Vista, we work in Valley Center, we work in Temecula, we work in Marietta, we work in Menifee, and a couple other markets that are like not, I mean, we're there, but we're not like working it. So we work in a lot of different areas. And let me tell you something. There's two towns that border each other, Fallbrook and Temecula. They are so drastically different. They are so drastically different that your clients are going to be completely different. And let me tell you something. Your seller clients are going to be different than your buyer clients. Like, completely different. So when I talk about building an avatar, I'm not talking about just building one avatar and calling it a day. I'm talking about actually digging deep and looking at your buyer in that market, your seller in that market. What do they look like? Who are they? So I wrote down a few questions that I would ask myself if I were creating something, and I'll even tell you, I got it written down, and I talk about Betty all the time because Betty is actually the client that we try to avoid. You know, Betty is not our avatar yet. People are trying to target people like Betty, and that's what I'm kind of going to get at. So simple questions. Is your client a male or female? Okay, in different markets, depending on where you are and what you do, is it the man that's driving the sale, or is it the woman that's driving the sale? And that's a truth. That's a truth. Sometimes on the buy side or the sell side. What I found in older markets, so example, in Fallbrook, it's a much older market. It's usually, and I focus mostly on listings, it's going to be the male that's actually going to be driving that transaction. Now here's the thing. Does that make me sexist? No, these are truths. And if you don't try to get as deep as possible, it gets very hard or very expensive to actually target market and go and find those individuals for more listings, or go and target market to find those people to buy. So what's their age? How old are they? So I'm going to talk about Fallbrook. Fallbrook, if somebody's selling a house, so we'll talk about buy and sell. How about that? Even better. So we'll use Fallbrook as an example, and then I'll tell you the drastic difference if I just go north 15 minutes north. So in Fallbrook, if I'm selling a house, it's usually going to be the male that's driving it. They're usually going to be married. They are no younger than 65. No younger than 65. A majority of the time they're in their 70s, and they're selling. More than likely, they bought that house. They've been in it for about 20 to 30 years. More than likely, they made good income, but they are either retired or semi-retired, and they have plenty of money, because those homes are selling for, you know, anywhere from $6, $7 to $1 million in that market. That's really the typical sales price. The average sales price in that market is $645,000. All right. So outside of their age and what they do for money, which is important, like how much money do they make? Most of them are retired, but what are they doing? Well, what they're doing, and here's the thing, 90% of the time in that market, the person that's selling the home is going to be Caucasian. They're going to be Caucasian, right? Their political beliefs. Are you writing this down? I hope you're writing this down. In Fallbrook, their political beliefs, and it's literally, you can, so what I did when I figured this out is I actually went and looked at the census stuff. Their political beliefs for the 645 and above are going to be conservative. They're going to be Republican. For the other areas that are usually around 500,000 and below, they're going to be more Democrat-based, okay? So are they retired or active? That's very important to me. Most of the time they're going to be retired, or they're semi-retired, and they're looking to downsize. So they're actually selling their house to downsize to a single story, smaller square footage, and they're usually going to either be moving out of state, which it seems like 80% of them are going to Texas, but they're moving out of state to downsize to maximize their money because they are retiring or retired, or they're going to be getting a manufactured home, downsizing single level, or they're going into a facility, some type of facility. So they're trying to sell one or the other, is going into a facility and they want to move forward. And it's funny, it's not funny, but what I've noticed is a majority of the time it's going to be the spouse, the wife, that's going to end up in the facility out of almost all of our clients that we've sold in that area. What's their past? A majority of them were hard workers. I would say a majority were blue collar. They weren't really, major business owners. Almost all of them were hard workers. They bought their home 20, 30, sometimes 40 years ago, and they just made a very good living and saved a lot of their money. They just saved and saved and saved and saved and paid off their house. Every house that we sell is paid off or close to being paid off. And I could keep going. You see where I'm going with this? So now I'm going to say, okay, so this old white guy that worked all of his life, that owns this house, that's going to be downsizing, that is more than likely married, that's going to be in his 70s, what's his name? What does he look like? And I start getting really granular with it, and I create an avatar for that seller. My guy's name is Bob. I just kept it real simple because it's Billy Bob, real simple Bob. And Bob is almost like, I'm telling you, almost every client, I just got another listing over there. I'm getting ready to go over, or a listing appointment. And as soon as I get on the phone, I'm like, I know this guy. Now, stark difference. If I go north 15 minutes, completely different. You're talking about now, it's a wide variety mix. So this is in Temecula. You're looking at, you have Hispanic, you have Caucasian, you have African American, you have Asian. There's like a lot of Asian communities here. I mean, it's a very wide variety. Now there's areas where that adjusts a little bit, but it's still extremely well mixed. The ages don't really change. Actually, most of the time if they're selling, they're going to be in their 30s or 40s. A majority of the time, they're going to be military. Not always, but a lot of military people. They're either PCSing or they have already PCS moved and they've been renting the property. And most of the properties are generally always the same. Price points pretty much always going to be there in their political beliefs, which is cool. This is a pretty diverse market. Political beliefs is something that you can't really wrap your hands around here in this market in Temecula, because I'm in the Temecula office right now. Lifestyle, usually military, usually outside, usually going to the vineyards, out and about, moving, not a small town feel at all. It's kind of, it's bustling, it's moving, people are experiencing life. So they have a different type of expectation, to the point where I even dress differently when I go to an appointment in Temecula. This is what you need to do in order to create your avatar for your buyers and your sellers. You need to get granular and you need to create a name. You need to figure out, is it the male or female that's actually driving the transaction? And what it does is it helps you really whittle down how you should target. And this is the big one. I found, especially if you do social media. So example, in Fallbrook, I really can't chase sellers on social media because you heard what Bob looks like, right? Bob's not on social media. In Temecula, I can literally do all of my listing stuff and chase listings just on social media if I wanted to. It's fantastic because it's a completely different type of a demographic and people that I'm trying to communicate with. So it's going to help you whittle that down. But the big one is actually understanding and focusing kind of on their lifestyle. What's their lifestyle? And the reason why that's important, so if you say, so Fallbrook, older community, where are these people, where do they spend their time? Where do they hang out? What are they doing with their free time? Well, there's still a lot of older generational clubs there, whether they're senior care clubs, the koalas, the Rotary Club, there a lot of them, if you go to the local gym, they have the Silver Sneaker Program. Why do I know that? Because I research my stuff. Silver Sneaker Program, so I guess what I did? I went down and got in good with the owner of the gym. I go down and help out with the senior care facilities. A lot of them, what's important to them is kind of how they present and live their lifestyle. Now in Temecula, it's a little bit different. They're out and about, they're at the vineyards, at the wineries. So how you present yourself and how you target market, you actually go after those lifestyles. And the reason why I bring this up is I had a buddy of mine, he's a full-time, all he does is marketing for big companies. And he actually told me, he says he was doing marketing for a school that was an EMT school. They basically were marketing to get more people to go and get their education to become EMTs, right? And instead of going out and trying to find the person that might be interested in becoming an EMT, he says, what's the common thread? He found the common thread. Everybody that's an EMT, almost all of them, they're into health and fitness. So what he started doing, he started marketing to health and fitness groups online. He started going after health and fitness people that associate with health and fitness, and guess what? They've always been packed ever since. They've always been closed out. They're always overbooked with people that want to become EMTs at a very small cost of marketing. So that's what I'm trying to get you to do, is start looking for those common threads. That's how you're going to find your buyers. That's how you're going to find your sellers in each one of the individual markets. Build your avatar, and you should have a little more success. That's all I got today. Do me a favor, like, share, comment as always. And make sure you check us out on YouTube. Check us out on Facebook, The Real Estate Blitz, The Real Estate Blitz. And I post these up every day, 8 a.m. sharp, California time, Pacific Standard. Look out. All right, have a good one. Talk to you all tomorrow.